מדבר הבוד, בעברתו יעשה וחלף, ותחת כנפיו תחסר, צינה וסוחרה יחניתו, לא תירא בי פחד לילה, מחץ יעוף יומה, מדבר באופל יעלוף, מקדב ישול צהריים. יפול מצווה מצידך אלך, ורבבה מימינך אלך לא ייגש. רק בעיניך תביט, בשילומת רשעים תראה, כי אתה אדוני מחזיר, עליון שמת מעונך. לא תאונה אליך רעה, ונגע לא יקרב באוהליך. כי מלאכיו יצווה לשמורך בכל דרכיך. הכפיים יסעו לך, בין גיגות חיות באבן רגליך, על שחר בבטן.
Friends, at this time we are going to begin services for Millis M Gross. I would ask if anyone has a cell phone or any other noise-making device, if you'd take a moment now, please, to turn that off or place it in the silent mode. Officiating our services today, Rabbi Michael Schwab, Rabbi Alex Friedman, and Hazan Jacob Sandler from North Suburban Synagogue, Bethel in Highland Park.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בין עוד דשא ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב, נפשי ישובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן, תערוך לפני שולחן, תערוך לפני שולחן, נגד צוררי. דשנת ושמן ראשי, דשנת ושמן ראשי, דשנת ושמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב החסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושם יצאתי ושבתי בבית אדוני, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
In memory of our beloved Millis Gross, and ask that you open your service folder and turn to Psalm 23, which Chazan Sandler so beautifully chanted. I ask if you want to read it with me together. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That is our belief, that Millis Gross will dwell in the house of the Lord forever, and a legacy will always carry forward on this earth. Now I'm going to ask Rabbi Friedman to chant the psalm.
מזמור לדוד. אדוני, מי יגור באוהלך? מי ישכון בהר קודשך? הולך תמים ופועל צדק, ודובר אמת בלבבו. לא בגל על לשונו, לא עשה לרעהו רעה, וחרפה לא נשא על קרבו. נבזה בעיניו נמאס, ואת ירא אדוני יכבד. ישבע להרע ולא ימיר. כספו לא נתן בנשך, ושוחד ענקי לא לקח. עושה אלה לא ימות לעולם. The Psalm 15, the Psalm of David. Do we deserve to enter God's sanctuary? Can we merit a place in the presence of God? Live with integrity. Do what is right. Speak the truth without deceit. Have no slander upon your tongue. Do no evil to others. Do not mistreat your neighbor. Spurn a contemptible person, but honor those who revere Hashem. Never retract a promise once made, though it may bring you harm. Lend no money at unfair rates. Accept no bribe against the innocent. Make these deeds your own. Then shall you stand firm forever. Amen.
One of our great philosophers, Ben Sira, once wrote, "When parents who have taught their children pass on, that passing is not true death. As long as the child lives, in this case, like even the grandchildren, then there is a part of the parent that can never die. When alive, a parent rejoices with her children. In death, that parent will not grieve, for she knows that her legacy will be passed on through those who succeed her, Lador Vador, from one generation to the next." Now I'm going to ask several members of the family to come and honor the memory of Millis, and I'll ask Arleen to come up first to share a few words.
Sorry.
Growing up with my older sister Millis was a complete pleasure. I always looked up to her. Millis shared everything lovingly and freely. Not only did we share a bedroom, we shared a bed together, a full-sized one before they had queens or king-size beds. Millis even shared her chewing gum with me right out of her mouth. She shared her thoughts and ideas, and she gave excellent advice. If you had the opportunity to know Millis, you were treated with respect and love. If Millis could talk to us now, she would say, love and treasure your parents and your children, love and treasure your sisters and your brothers, and keep them close, your cousins and your friends. Remember to tell them you love them. I will forever feel grateful to have been blessed with her presence. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arleen. I'm now going to call upon Donna to say some words.
Okay, so thank you everyone for being with us today to celebrate the life of a remarkable woman, my mother, Millis. She was a caring, supportive, and loving mother, sister, grandmother, and friend to many. My early memories of my mom are of her everlasting presence. Mom was always there whenever I needed her. She prided herself on making sure my siblings and I always had everything we needed. Whether it was an abundance of treats and maybe a few nutritious items in our school lunches, or the popular school supplies or favorite piece of clothing. She was my go-to for everything, and somehow with her incredibly calm demeanor, she always made everything okay, whatever the situation. She taught me, I think most of our family around us, that material things didn't matter, that as long as we had our health, we could get through anything, any adversity that we faced. Her famous line was, "Don't worry, it's only money, nobody's hurt, you're healthy, and that's all that matters." She never wanted us to be scared or worried. My mom was a pillar of strength, the strongest and smartest woman I know. When my parents divorced and Mom had to go back to work after raising me and my siblings, she started out as an entry-level teacher. And after a very short time and a handful of promotions, she zoomed straight up the ladder to become the early childhood director of the Northwest Suburban JCC, where she worked for many years. This is how I learned what it meant to have a strong work ethic. And if it weren't for the flare-up of her multiple sclerosis, she'd probably still be working. Although she was diagnosed at an early age, Mom's MS began wreaking serious havoc on her body when she was just 56 years old. She had to stop working and went on disability. At the time, I was 28 years old, and I had just given birth to Maya, my firstborn, 6 months prior. And truth be told, at the time, it was so terrifying to see my mom so scared. And at that time, I knew instantly that I would do anything to make sure she wasn't scared and that she felt the same sense of security she had always provided for me. In my head, there was no other option but to figure out a way to live close to each other so I could always be nearby, just like she had been for me. We ended up buying a 3-flat. She lived on the first floor, we lived on the second floor, and as an added bonus, we rented out the 3rd floor to my dear friends Jody and Dave and her growing family. And we had so much fun in that building. My kids had the unique opportunity of seeing their grandma every day, multiple times per day. And that meant that Millis had a new task: presents for the kids every day, and making sure that the kids were ramped up on candy multiple times per day, usually right before meals. Of course, this was not something I necessarily always agreed with, but seeing the joy my mom got out of that meant I certainly wasn't going to interfere with that routine. With my kids and Jody's kids running up and down those stairs, in and out of everyone's apartment, birthday parties in the backyard, my mom absolutely loved being surrounded by all of these kids. And then add the month-long visits by my sister and her kids from Denmark, and she was in her glory. Despite her illness, she still made it a point to make sure that she was always connected with her family, her sisters, her dad, her kids, and grandkids. She lived with us for 28 years, so I could talk forever about all the good times, the challenging times, and the scary times. What stands out and what I will remember most about my mama was her beautiful, radiant smile that she gave us every single day, without fail, whether she was feeling good or bad that day. Every morning, Gerry and I would go check on Mill, and every morning we were greeted by that beautiful smile. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention how well Gerry cared for my mom over the years. He cared for her as if she was his own mother. He would do anything for her, and I mean anything. And that is why Gerry always, without fail, received the biggest smile when he entered her room. I want to thank, and I know my mom would want to thank, her amazing caregivers, Lee, for 20 years, Kathy, Eloisa, Erna, Glenn, Doris, Princess, her incredible home health nurse, Maria, and though we only knew her for a short period of time, Denise, her hospice nurse who went above and beyond supporting us and my mother during the end of her life. Her smile, her need to protect each and every one of us, that was near and dear to her heart, and her incredible strong will to live up until the very end, never, ever, ever complaining about anything, is what I will remember most about my mom. Rest in peace, my dear, beautiful mama, and thank you for being the absolute best, and I will miss you forever. Thank you.
Thank you for that beautiful tribute. I'm now going to ask Tali to come up.
My grandma Millis was a spectacular woman and very special to a lot of people. To me, Maya, Danielle, Sani, Addy and Trevor, she was our grandma. She played a huge role in my life, not only as my grandma, but as my roommate and my neighbor, and a constant source of positivity. There is no way to fit a lifetime of memories into a few paragraphs, so I will share my most cherished ones. As my mom mentioned, as a kid, I remember coming home from school and running to Grandma's room and greeting her and her smiling face. On top of seeing my grandma every day, I got a present waiting for me every day. Every single day. Could it get much better than that as a kid? I don't really even remember any of the presents, but the glee it brought me as a kid stuck with me. She obviously loved to spoil her grandchildren, and she was good at it. Whether it was with gifts at home or packages at camp or infinite trips to her M&M dispenser, she truly spoiled us rotten. She didn't just shower us in material things. Her love was the biggest and best gift of all. Another fond memory I have of growing up with Grandma was all the times we would sit in the living room watching Wheel of Fortune with her after school. Grandma would sometimes doze off, and I would turn around and try to catch her sleeping, but every time I would turn to look at her, she would always immediately open her eyes and smile at me. I would try turning slowly and quietly, but without fail, she always caught me and smiled. I never quite figured out how she knew that I was looking at her, but I came to the conclusion that even with her eyes closed, she knew I was thinking of her, and that brings me comfort right now. I had a very unique childhood because for as long as I could remember, there was Grandma. When we lived in the 3-flat, there she was in the apartment below us. When we moved to a house, there she was in the garage that we converted into a home for her. She was there when I came home from school, there on the sidelines of my soccer and volleyball games, at plays, there at every birthday or major event. A particularly unusual side effect of always having Grandma there was the assumption that everyone else also lived with their grandma. I would visit other people's homes and I would look around and wonder to myself, where do they keep their grandma? Eventually I realized how special my living situation was and cherished it all that much more. How special it was to always have my Grandma Millis right there, and I am forever grateful for that. Anyone who knows Grandma knows how she radiated love and positivity. I will miss seeing her smile, the world's most beautiful smile, as I walked in from next door for a visit. I will miss the faces she would make and all the thoughts she had that came out with not much of a filter. She was the most positive woman in the world, despite the horrible hand she was dealt and all the complications that came with. She never once complained. She never had a bad attitude. That smile never faded. She received the most amazing care throughout the years from her wonderful caregivers, and particularly from my fervently dedicated mom. Mom's world revolved around Grandma's for 27 years, and she made sure Grandma was given top-notch care and endless love. Thank you for taking such amazing care of our Grandma. She lived an amazing life because of you. I love you. She was the constant in our lives and the reason our family is so special. There is a huge hole without her here. But she raised some tough cookies who raised even more tough cookies, and we will be okay. We're all in our places, and we will be sure to have bright, shining faces just like she did to keep her memory alive. I love you, Grandma.
I'm now going to call up Gerry to speak.
First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for being here. Shows me how special this woman was. This is going to be an impossible void to fill. With the many wonderful qualities we can remember about Millis, such as her positive attitude, her sense of humor, her bravery in battling MS, we can all agree that one thing stands out the most. Millis's beautiful smile. The famous expression, her smile lights up a room, must have been written about Millis, because it's true. That smile was everything to everyone. Millis's smile conveyed love, encouragement, wit, humor, understanding, and compassion. Seeing Millis smile made everything seem just better. And the beauty of her smile would stay with you, like seeing a bright ray of sunshine break through the clouds on a rainy day. I know we will all treasure memories of Millis and her smile. There's a quote that goes, "Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened." In honor of Millis, let's not cry because we miss her. Let's smile because we will always love her. Rest in peace, Millis.
In Pirkei Avot, our ancient book of wisdom and guidance, it states the following: one must always greet another with a cheery countenance. In truth, Millie's smile could have easily been the official illustration of this important piece of wisdom in Pirkei Avot. They could have just shown the picture that is either in the service folder or the many pictures that the family has of her smiling. In fact, she was the very model for living this value, both on its surface and in the very depth of its meaning. She truly greeted everyone with that radiant smile that everyone was talking about, that exhibited warmth, affection, positivity, acceptance, and love. I can't tell you what a beautiful thing it was to sit with the family yesterday and listen to the beautiful things that they said about Millis, and it was so from the heart. Everything was sincere, how much she affected each and every person that was sitting in that room. She lived her life guided by those values expressed by her smile. She was always trying to help, to support, and guide the people in her life so that they would feel valued, cared for, and loved. Thus, it is my very sad honor to express my condolences and those of our community at North Suburban Bethel to her loving children, Robyn, Donna, and Dan, as well as their spouses, their partners, to her adored grandchildren, Sani, Danielle, Maya, Tali, Addy, and Trevor, as well as to her beloved sisters, Arleen and Lois, and to all of the many other adoring family and friends, whether they are here, whether they're on the live stream, or they're not able to join us, all these people who loved her and whom she loved so very much. My prayer is that the words we utter today and the rituals of our tradition provide you with some measure of comfort at a very difficult time. As has been shared a little bit, but some of you may not know, Millis grew up on the west side of Chicago with a loving family. She was seen as special right away, the family told me, by her parents and siblings, and shared incredible relationships with both of her loving sisters, who effusively shared with me what a tremendous and wonderful sister she was, and what an extraordinary person she was. Lois told me that as a big sister, she always watched out for her and cared for her, making her feel extra loved and secure. And Arleen pointed out lovingly that when Millis spoke with you, you felt like you were the only person in the world at that moment. As a parent, as you heard, you could not find a more supportive mother. As her children related, she was a pillar of strength, stability, and love. A mother you could always count on to be there for you in every single way. As young children, it was her tender care, the way she always made sure you had everything you needed and whatever food made you happy. And as her children got older, it was her incredible advice and constant loving presence through whatever they were going through. As a grandmother, too, you heard so beautifully, she was just exceptional. She created relationships with all of her grandchildren, whether she was living in a house or an apartment with them, or with grandchildren who are a continent apart. Her love for her family knew no boundaries. When Millis's MS started to get bad, she moved in, as you heard, with Donna and her family. And it was so formative, both for Donna's family and all those around her. You heard that they would go to her apartment each day and find a present waiting for them, a candy, a small toy, and spending time. Even with MS, Millis was present for all of her grandchildren, for their major events in their lives, and all of their milestones, even making the trip to Denmark as often as she could, and also for the Benot Mitzvah that were there. Her love and support was so palpable for each and every grandchild, and it was a special way that she was able to connect. Everyone remarked at how incredible, strong, and resilient she was. Life threw a great deal at Millis, but she somehow handled it all with no complaints, lovingly moving forward and accomplishing all that she wished to accomplish. She worked hard, first as a first grade teacher, then as a mom, raising 3 kids, and then returning to professional life, running 2 different early childhood programs at the JCC on Tui and in Buffalo Grove, as well as the director of the Senior Center. All of her kids shared that she taught them the value of hard work. She persisted through the limitations that her MS tried to impose upon her, insisting on walking until she could simply no longer, falling often but never letting it get her down. I can't help relate a little bit of a story that I may not get 100% right, but you'll get the picture. When she fell and she couldn't get up, she would even say calmly to whoever was with her, with a smile, to please call 911 and tell them Millis fell again. She would be all right. She just needed help getting up. She bore her dependency on others, most especially on Donna, with dignity, grace, and optimism, and maintained her beautiful personality and vitality in the face of her circumstances, very hard circumstances, until the very end of her life. Her family shared with me that as recently as only a few days before she died, she gave them a final gift of spontaneously singing to them a children's song, both sweet and loving, that said, good morning to you, we're all in our places with our shining faces. Even though she was dying, she greeted the day and her family with love and gratitude and made everything feel as if it would all be okay. She was remarkable in so many ways, providing comfort even in her dying moments. She was also a devoted Jew. She grew up going to religious school, Jewish summer camp, and spoke Hebrew. She went to Hebrew high school. She loved the holidays, most especially Hanukkah and lighting the candles, singing the songs and making latkes, but also Passover and really any holiday that allowed the family to eat together. Apparently she had excellent, delicious brisket that she made and flank steak with toothpicks, which I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I'm sure it was good. She taught her kids to always say the Shema with their children and celebrated with great joy at their B'nai Mitzvah and the B'nai Mitzvah of her grandchildren. So whether you remember Millis for the small things, apparently her love of scarves, her obsession with crossword puzzles, the way she wrapped food in aluminum foil, and how much she enjoyed Starbucks drinks, or for the big things, her incredible smile and expressive face, her strength and determination, her compassion and caring, the incredible tight-knit and loving family she helped create, or most of all, her endless love. Let us always remember Millis with a huge smile and deepest love and respect. Di Zichra Brucha, may the memory of Malka Naomi Bat Elchanan Vasara always be for a blessing, and let everyone here say, Amen. Amen. As our friends here from the cemetery lower the casket, Chazan Sandler will now recite from Psalm 121.
Shir lamalot esai einai el harim me'ain yavo Ezri me'im Adonai Ose shamayim va'aretz Al yiten lamot raglecha Al yanum shomrecha Hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael Adonai shomrecha Adonai tzilcha al yad yeminecha Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka ve'yareach balayla Adonai yishmorcha mikora yishmor et nafshecha Adonai yishmor tzedcha uvoecha me'ata ve'ad olam me'ata ve'ad olam.
Translation. A song for ascents. I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your protection, a guardian at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm and guard your life. God guards your going and your coming, now and forevermore. Al Mikomat Avo V'Shalom. May Malka Naomi Bat Elchanan V'Sara go unto God in peace, and let us say Amen. This time I'm going to put Israeli earth on top of the casket. It's already inside the casket, but we'll also put it in between the casket and the vault cover. This represents her eternal connection to both the land and the people of Israel. As the vault cover is lowered, I'm going to recite from a traditional prayer called Siduk Hadin. Hatzur tamim polo, ki chol derachav mishpat el emunah ve'navel tzadik v'yasharhu. Hatzur tamim b'chol poal, mi omar lo matifal ashalip b'matav v'mal memitu mechayam urid sheol v'ya'al. Hatzur tamim b'chol ma'aseh, mi omar lo mataseh omer ve'oseh chesed chinam lanu taseh. ובזכות הנעקד כשק שיבה ועשה צדיק בכל דרכיו עצור תמים ערך אפיים ומלא רחמים חמור נא וחוס נא לבוא תבנים כי לך אדון הסליחות והרחמים צדיק אתה אדוני להעמיד ולחיות אשר בידך פיקדון כל רוחות חלילה לך זיכרוננו למחות ויהיו נא עיניך ברחמים עלינו פקוחות כי לך אדון הרחמים והסליחות אדם בן שנה יהיה 1,000 שנים יחיה מה יתרון לו כלא היה ברוך דיין האמת ממית ומחיה ברוך הוא כי אמת דינו ומשוטט הכל בינו משלם לאדם חשבונו ודינו והכל לשמו הדיה ייתנו ידענו אדוני כי צדק משפטיך תצדק בדבריך ותזכה בשופטיך ואין להרהר אחר מידת שופטיך צדיק אתה אדוני וישר משפטיך, דיין אמת שופט צדק ואמת, ברוך דיין האמת שכל משפטיו צדק ואמת, נפש כל חי בידיך, צדק מלא ימינך, רחם על פליטת צאן ידיך, ותאמר למלאך, הרף ידיך. גדול העצה ורב העויה, אשר עיניך פיקוחו על כל דרכי בני אדם לתת לאיש כדרכיו וכפי מעלליו, להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולת בו. אדוני נתן ואדוני לקח יהי שם אדוני מבורך. ברחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית וירבה להשיב אפו ולא יאיר כל חמתו. The perfect rock whose work we perceive reveals a faithful God, true, upright, and honest. The rock is perfect in every way. Dare we ask God to account for any deed? God rules below and on high, yes, causing death, but giving life, bringing us down to the grave, but raising us up as well. The rock is unfathomable, but just and patient, filled with compassion. We know, Adonai, that your discretion is beyond us. We know, God, that your word is good. But your judgments at times puzzle us. And though we may brood over harsh realities, we do place our trust in your righteousness. We accept our lot and the love that remains with us forever. Have mercy upon us and strengthen us to maintain our courage at this time of sorrow. Adonai Natan, the Lord gives, Adonai Lakach, and sometimes, sadly, the Lord takes. Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach. Praised be the name of God through it all. Vayashov ha'afar ha'aretz k'shaya v'ruach tashuv el ha'elohim asher netana. The dust indeed returns to the earth as it was, but the spirit returns to God who gave it. May Millis' soul be bound up in the bond of life eternal. Send comfort, God, to those who mourn. Grant strength to those whose burden is sorrow. And let us all say, Amen. Now I'm going to ask those who are seated, if you're able, to kindly please rise as the Chazan chants the memorial prayer.
El malei rachamim shochein bamromim המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים וטהורים כי זוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת מלכה נעמי בת אלחנן ושרה שהלכה לעולמה בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה. אנא בעל הרחמים הסתיריה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה ותנוח בשלום על משכבה ונאמר Amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure, to the soul of Millis Gross, Malka Naomi Bat Elchanan Vasara, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. May she always rest in peace. And let us all say, Amen. Now I'm going to ask the immediate family to join me in the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish. You can find the transliteration, if you'd like, in the back of your service folders. Yitzkadal, Yitzkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Divra Chirute, Ve'amlich Malchute, Be'chayechon, Uvyomechon, Uchaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, Uvizman Kariv, V'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Le'olam U'lalmei Almaya. Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, V'yit'aleh, V'yithalal, Shemei Dekudesha B'rechu. Le'ela min kol virchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. In a few moments, there may be some safety announcements, but I just want to explain the custom of what we do next. It is Jewish tradition that we, her community of family and friends, we are the ones who put her to her final rest. And therefore, we are the ones that complete the burial. And we see this as a great act of loving kindness. It's a favor that can never be repaid. And we do it out of our love, the pure love that we have for Millis. There are a few customs that one can observe in order to see this as the beautiful mitzvah that it truly is, which is, one is that we don't hand the shovel from one person to the next. When we're finished, we put the shovel back in the earth for the next person to take. The second is that we do at least 3 shovelfuls to show that we're doing a real act, not just one and kind of shirking it and moving on. And the second one, the third one, I mean, if you'd like to follow it, is that the first shovelful, instead of putting the shovel the normal way, you turn the shovel upside down and use the back of the shovel, because you would never do that in a normal act of shoveling, and it reminds us that this is a mitzvah. So I don't know if there are safety announcements. And then, of course, the family will go first, and everyone here can have an opportunity.
Most importantly, friends, we just want to let you know that we do have the shovels available for anyone who would like to place earth in the grave. We'll ask that you allow the immediate family to go first as they come forward. But we also do have the smaller pail with cups within, if you're more comfortable using that, so that you're not having to use a shovel that everyone else is using. We also have gloves available if anyone is in need, and hand sanitizer as well. One last announcement before we end the live stream. We wanted to let everybody know with regard to the Shiva. The family will be together today from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. with a minion at 7:30 at the Gross Erf residence. That's 7727 Lowell Avenue in Skokie. They'll also be sitting on Friday from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. with a minion at 4 p.m. And they'll also be sitting on Sunday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. with a minion at 3 p.m. That information is available inside the folders that you received as you arrived today. And if you did not receive one, please feel free to see one of our staff members and we'll provide you with one. And for those of you who are streaming with us today, that information is also available on our website as well. At this time, we'll invite the family to come forward.
There's both sides. You can come and the earth is pretty heavy, so be careful.
Well, you can swing it next one to get on the other side.
Come up on either side, folks.
I love you. Your family is so beautiful. I saw him on the other side there. Showing David's in there. It was all mixed with charades. Yeah, that's hard. Yes, I do. Here. They were the same age as Donna, or younger. They were younger than Donna. How old is Donna? Oh wow. Still baby. Still baby. Yeah. You guys you're the same age as Linda. 2 months younger. And I'm still 6 months, 6 years younger than Linda. I'm still the baby, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sister, right. That's what Linda does too. Right.